Hey everyone, MKBHD here. Today, we're diving into the world of web scraping. It might sound complicated, but trust me, it's totally doable. Essentially, web scraping is like teaching your computer to browse the web and collect specific information for you. Think of it like this. Imagine you want to find the best deals on headphones from different online stores. Instead of manually checking each website, you could build a web scraper to do it for you. Pretty cool, right? Web scraping has tons of uses. Businesses use it to analyze competitors, track prices, and gather market data. Researchers use it to collect data for studies and analysis. You can even use it to build your own custom datasets for machine learning projects. In this guide, we'll break down the process of building a basic web scraper using Python. Don't worry if you're new to coding, I'll walk you through each step. Let's get started. Before we jump into coding, let's cover a few prerequisites. First, you'll need a basic understanding of Python. Don't worry, you don't have to be a coding wizard. Just a basic grasp of variables, loops, and functions will do. Second, we'll be using a couple of Python libraries, Requests and Beautiful Soup. Libraries are like pre-built toolboxes that make coding easier. Requests will help us fetch web pages, and Beautiful Soup will help us extract the data we need. Don't worry if you've never used libraries before, installing them is super easy. We'll do that in the next section. The key takeaway here is that you don't need to be a coding expert to start web scraping. With a little bit of Python knowledge and the right tools, you can start collecting data from the web in no time. Now that we've got the basics covered, let's move on to setting up our environment. Alright, time to set up our coding environment. First things first, make sure you have Python installed on your computer. You can download the latest version from the official Python website, python.org. Once you've installed Python, we need to install our library's requests and Beautiful Soup. To install them, open up your command prompt or terminal and type in the following commands one at a time, hitting enter after each one. Pip install requests, pip install Beautiful Soup 4. This tells Python to install these libraries on your system. Pip is like Python's app store, so it's super convenient. Once the installation is complete, you're good to go. You now have all the tools you need to start building your web scraper. In the next section, we'll start writing the actual code for our scraper. Get ready to see the magic happen. Now comes the fun part, writing the scraper itself. We'll break down the process into manageable steps. First, we need to import the libraries we installed. Import requests. From BS4, import Beautiful Soup. This line of code tells Python that we want to use the requests and Beautiful Soup libraries in our script. Think of it like grabbing the right tools from our toolbox. Next, we'll define the URL of the website we want to scrape. Let's say we want to scrape product data from example.com. Replace this with your actual target website. URL =, https://www.example.com. We've now stored the website's address in a variable called URL. This will make it easy for us to work with the website's data in our code. That's it for the initial setup. In the next step, we'll fetch the HTML content of this web page using the request library. Section 5. Fetching a web page. With our libraries imported and the target URL set, we can now fetch the web page's content. Think of this as sending a digital request to the website's server, asking it to share its HTML code. We'll use the function to do this response =requests.getURL. Here, we're using the function to send a GET request to the URL we defined earlier. The server's response, including the web page's HTML content, is then stored in the response variable. To make sure everything went smoothly, we can check the response status code. If response.status_code == 200 print request successful, else print something went wrong. A status code of 200 means the request was successful. If you see that, you're good to go. Now that we have the web page's HTML content, we need to parse it to extract the data we need. That's where Beautiful Soup comes in. Section 6. Parsing the HTML structure. We've successfully fetched the web page's HTML content, but it's still raw and unstructured. To extract meaningful data, we need to parse this HTML using Beautiful Soup. Parsing essentially means organizing the HTML into a format that our code can easily understand and navigate. Here's how we do it. Soup =, Beautiful Soup, response.content, html.parser. In this line of code, we're creating a beautiful soup object called soup, and feeding it the HTML content from our response variable. The quote HTML.parser quote argument tells Beautiful Soup that we're dealing with HTML data. Now our soup object contains a structured representation of the web page's HTML. We can navigate through this structure to find the specific elements containing the data we want to extract. This structured format allows us to pinpoint the exact data we need from the web page, much like using an address to find a specific house. Section 7. Extracting valuable data. With our HTML nicely parsed, we can finally extract the data we're interested in. This is where things get exciting because you get to be specific about what information you want to collect. Let's say we want to extract all the product titles from an e-commerce website. We'll inspect the website's HTML structure using your web browser's developer tools to find the HTML tag and attributes that consistently identify product titles. For example, let's assume product titles are within tags with the class product title, product else product title, or title in product_title, print title text strip. This code snippet first uses to locate all elements with the class product title. Then it loops through each found element and prints its text content, neatly stripped of any extra spaces. And there you have it, a list of product titles printed right before your eyes. You can adapt this process to extract any data point you need, as long as you can identify its corresponding HTML tags and attributes. Section 8. Handling errors like a pro. Web scraping is not always smooth sailing. Sometimes you might encounter errors due to network issues, changes in a website's structure, or simply typos in your code. It's crucial to handle these errors gracefully to prevent your scraper from crashing. One common approach is using blocks. Try response =sign requests. Get URL response.raise underscore for underscore status. Hash raise an exception for bad status codes. This code attempts to fetch the web page and raises an exception if there's a problem with the request, like a 404 error. If an exception occurs, the block catches it, prints an error message, and prevents the script from crashing. Remember to anticipate potential issues and implement appropriate error handling techniques to make your web scraper more robust and reliable. Section 9. Saving your findings. Congratulations, you've successfully scraped data from the web. Now let's save this valuable information to a file so you can analyze it later. A simple way to store data is by writing it to a text file, with open product titles (w) as file for title in product_titles. File.write title.text.strip plus n. This code snippet opens a file named product_titles.txt in write mode. If the file doesn't exist, it's created automatically. It then iterates through the list and writes each title to the file on a new line. Now you have your extracted data safely stored in a file. You can open this file later to analyze the data, generate reports, or use it for any other purpose you desire. Section 10. Recap and next steps. We've covered a lot of ground in this quick guide. We started by understanding what web scraping is and its various applications. We then set up our coding environment, learned how to fetch web pages using the request library, and parsed HTML content using Beautiful Soup. We even extracted specific data, handled potential errors, and saved our findings to a file. Web scraping is a powerful tool with endless possibilities. Now that you have a solid foundation, I encourage you to explore further. Experiment with different websites, try extracting various types of data, and think about how you can apply web scraping to solve real-world problems or automate tasks in your own life. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you experiment with web scraping, the more proficient you'll become. Section 11. Conclusion. That's it for our crash course on web scraping. I hope you found it informative and easy to follow. Remember, the ability to extract data from the web opens up a world of opportunities. So go ahead, build something incredible, and don't forget to share your creations with the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.